Good afternoon. Welcome to our backtesting live session here, our backtesting jam session. We are doing this live. So if you have been following me on the backtesting sessions, the purpose of doing the backtesting sessions really is to get really comfortable with our trading strategy, to learn the price action. In our case, learning the price action because I do price action trading. That's my method of trading, and really to get comfortable with what's happening in the market, how price is reacting, and how do we go about executing our trades, and where do we take profit, that type of stuff. So the strategy that we have been following has been based on daily candlesticks. What I have here is a chart. I'm using Forex Tester for our backtesting sessions. I'll post the link if you want to purchase it. You'll get a discount if you follow the affiliate link that I have. But if you just want to follow along, that is perfectly fine as well. You can do so. So Forex Tester just allows us to get this information that we have, and we can actually get all the price action from a previous weeks and or years, and we can use that information to test our strategy. The daily strategy that I follow, or the daily candlestick strategy that I follow, is basically we look at daily candlestick bars, and based on that we look at we guess the market direction for the following day. And this is good strategy if you're one of the problems that I have seen most traders have, especially new traders, is just finding market direction. Where is the market going next? And what's going to happen next? So we're just, with this strategy, we're looking to find market direction for the following day. So it's not a long-term, super long-term strategy. It can be used for multiple days. So as long as price is going in our direction, we will stay with the strategy or we'll stay with our trade. And once price starts to turn, we will end that trade and we can continue on. So let's get started here. If you are joining me live, you can put your guess or you can play the game with me, and you can put your guess in the comment section. So we'll get started here. All right. You can do so. Okay, so here, what are we doing? We were using the pound US dollar daily chart. Each candle is based on daily candlestick, and we are using looking at the daily candlestick, and this is where we were. We have done several days of this before already, but it doesn't matter if you're just joining me for the first time. That's quite all right, because each time we look at the next, what's coming up next. So here we cannot see the price action. These are previous charts, but we can't really see what's coming up next. So this is kind of like our flight simulation software. So we're just using it to simulate the market based on what has happened in the past. So, all right, so what do we have here? This is pound US dollar chart. Price had been going down. It has pulled back up now, and we are finally into this. This is where we are. We have red candle close here, so we have a bearish candle close. We are into the support resistance level though, and now we have to see what happens next. Okay, so in this case, what are we looking for? My guess would be for price to move lower. So if you want to take a guess as we are trading, make sure you put your guess right into the comments section, and we'll go along and we'll see how we're doing. Okay, so let's take a guess, looking for price to drop here, see if that happens. Okay, price comes into our support resistance area, pushes back up. So we have had a retracement. So I'm still looking for price to drop. So now this is a tricky place to be at, because price has reacted to the support multiple times. So if price holds above this level, chances are looking chances our price will continue higher. So right now it has pulled back a bit. So what are we looking at now? Okay, if you have a guess, let's put it in the comment section. So in this case, my guess would be a move to the downside. But if we get stuck in this area, if price does not close below this support and resistance area right here, we could move higher. Okay, so right now I'm looking for it to break this level. If it doesn't break, then our bias will change. Okay, Sunny has also put in that we are going to move lower. So let's take a look. Here we are. It went and tested higher, went all the way into the high, and then it has closed as a bearish candle here. So we have a nice bearish pin bar. So you're looking for, Sunny says, we're looking for a downward move. I agree. I'm looking for price to drop. It has finally managed to close below this level now. So I'm looking for price to come back into this next support and resistance area. So let's see if we get that. Price is still struggling with this area, and now it's starting to hold above. We did have a nice candle close here, but now price is just going sideways. So we haven't really broken through. So this is one of those times where I would just set aside and go look at a different chart to perhaps trade from, because price is not going anywhere at this point. So at this point, I'm just going to look for the next candle and see if we can actually get a solid candle. So let's take a look. So we're still getting bearish. So what the price is doing is it's holding below this previous support and resistance level. Now it's starting to hold below this support and resistance level right into there. So what are we looking for now? Any guesses? Okay, so I would guess that the price would move lower, looking for price to come back down. Let's take a look if it does that. It's still stuck there, so I'm still looking for price to move lower. Okay, so now we have broken above. So now we have gotten our bullish engulfing candle close. If we take a look at this candle here, it engulfs this previous price action. So if you were to put this candle on top of any of these other candles, we would not be able to see the previous candles. So finally, we have seen when we are in a consolidation, we just have to see where the price will break. And then based on the break, we trade that side. So now the bias has shifted to bullish. So what are we looking for? What's the next step here? Where do we expect the price to go? Any guesses on that? So just a quick note here, we are into the resistance here. So price is closing into resistance, but overall, because we have a big bullish engulfing candle, I'm looking for price to move up higher. So let's take a look if it will go back into this next support and resistance area, but we could struggle here as well because this is where price has struggled before. So we are pushing higher here. So my bias is still to the upside. Let's see if we can get that. Okay, so now price is reacting at the next support and resistance area right here. So we have a little bit of a doji here. So this is when I would wait for the next candle to close, see if the price wants to continue higher, or do we close with a bearish? So let's take a look. So we still have bullish, the bias is still intact, but again, we are into resistance here. So let's take a look. Okay, so we are still pushing forward, bias is still bullish. Let's see if we go higher. The candles are getting smaller though, so we don't have as much momentum to the upside as before. So here we go. So now we have a bearish candle close. So not a huge candle, not a big candle. That means the momentum is still to the upside. We haven't shifted yet. When prices shift, we need to, or when the momentum shifts, we need to see a big candle close or a solid candle close that will suggest that price is going to continue. So in this case, we have small candle close. So right now we're just neutral, and we want to see which way the price wants to go here. So we'll just, this is one of those days again, I would just wait to see what happens next. What's the next candle that will determine the direction. So we're still holding up. So in this case, the buy still remains bullish, but we don't have a solid candle close. So we're just going sideways, just like we were going sideways here. Now we are going sideways over there as well. Still going sideways, so no clear direction, is neutral. Now we have price closing to the downside. So what is our next, okay, so what is our next step? Where are we looking for price to go? Any guesses on that? Pressure is still up. Sunny says the pressure is to the upside. Let's take a look. If we continue going higher, I would agree. We have made higher lows and higher highs. So there is still upward pressure. Let's see if price continues. So basically what we need to see here is, can the price close to the other side of this support resistance level, and then it can continue higher. So let's take a look. Okay, so now we have a bearish candle close. What do we expect price to do now? So as we can see, price has just been consolidating sideways, and price just hasn't really gone anywhere. It's just consolidating over here as well. Price was consolidating, and now we are in this consolidation. So where do we expect the price to go next? Any guesses on that? Okay, so my guess would be that it would drop because we have a bearish candle close here. That's a nice solid bearish candle close. But again, we are into support here. This whole consolidation, we are at the bottom of that range of consolidation. If the price does not break through, then we're looking for price to go back towards the high of the range. So at this point, I'm looking for price to see if the price will break through and continue lower. Okay, here we go. Price has broken through the previous consolidation area. Where do we expect the price to go now? Anybody wanting to take a guess? So I would say the price is likely to drop. Looking for price to move lower here. So let's take a look. Okay, here we go. Price has moved lower. Where do we expect the price to go next? Any guesses on that? Okay, so my guess here would be that price is likely to continue lower. I'm looking for price to come down back into this previous support and resistance area, and looking for price to drop further. So let's see if that happens. Okay, here we go. We are back into this previous support and resistance area. This is where price had struggled. Okay, now where do we expect the price to go next? Any guesses? Okay, one thing we'll have to be careful about here is that we are into support. So this can happen, but the bias is to the downside. We have seen several candles to the downside, biases to the downside, still looking for price to move lower. So let's see if it's able to break this previous support and resistance area. There we go. This is what I was talking about. Price tends to struggle at these important levels, and you'll see the same level will, or the price will react to the same level multiple times. So here we are just looking for, we're looking to see if the price will actually break down, the support will break. So yeah, Sanjan says we're looking to see if it will break the support. I'm looking to see if it will break the support and continue with the downward momentum, but sometimes it can pull back here and then come back. So at this point, I would be sitting aside to see where the price is going to go next. So this is one of those days where you look at a different chart and you find a setup on different charts. That's why we look at multiple different pairs during the daily analysis, where so we're looking for a good setup to be formed. So in this case, that's not my favorite trade setup here, because price is it's just the indecision candle and we are into support. So we have to go see what price will do next. Okay, so price is pulled back. Now we could see our price pulling back higher, so I would be looking to see where the price is going to pull to. Overall bias is to the downside, but like I said, price can pull back higher before it drops again. So we have a small bullish candle here. So based on this candle, what are we looking for? Where are we looking the price to go to? Okay, I'd be looking for price to move up higher, see if that happens. Okay, we have price dropping through, so we are finally seeing that break. So it didn't really pull up all the way, just pulled up a little bit into this previous area right into here. And now we have a nice bearish candle close. So what are we looking for price to do after this? Any guesses on where we can expect the price to go? Okay, so personally, I would be looking for price to drop. That's a nice candle close. It's a nice bearish engulfing candle. Sanjan says looking, the support is breaking, looking for it to go down further. That's what I'm looking for as well. And let's see if we get that. Okay, we are going sideways here. Price is pulled back, but the momentum is still to the downside. So let's see if it does that. Okay, the price is holding below that previous. So now it's consolidating in. Now it's consolidating right into that level here that where price had reacted previously. So what do we expect the price to do from here? So for me, I would be looking for price to go lower here, looking for it to drop. So let's see if that happens. There we go. We're back into the bottom of this support level where we were looking for price to go to. So that's a nice bearish candle close. But we are into support. So that's something we have to be mindful of because a price can pull back up. So where do we expect the price to go next from here? So Sanjan says drop further. I would be looking for a drop as well. So let's see if we can get that drop. Okay, price pulls back, which is normal. We were looking for that pullback as we are into support. It's not a huge bullish candle close here, small candle close. So at this point, I would still be looking for price to go lower. Okay, we are pulling back and now our pullback level will be that. So if price stays below this level, then looking for price to drop further. Let's see what happens. Okay, so it's staying below this level. Okay, so this becomes a tradable opportunity, not a huge bearish candle close, but in terms of the momentum is still to the downside. So where are we looking for price to go to now? Okay, so personally, I would be looking for price to go lower. Okay, here we go. Price pulled back. So what we're seeing here is drop, pull back, drop, pull back. And now we have a nice bearish candle close here. Where do we expect the price to go next? So in this case, my bias is still to the downside. I'm looking for price to drop again. And Sanjan says he's looking for price to drop again as well. Let's see if it does that. So now I'm looking for price to come into this previous next level of support and resistance. That's a nice candle close. So let's see if it drops. Okay, now we are struggling with that level here still. We have a bullish candle close now, so price could move up further. So we go from drop, consolidation, drop, consolidation. Now that's a bullish candle close. That's a nice bullish engulfing candle close, but we are into resistance here. So let's see if price closes above this, then we're looking for price to go back higher. So let's see what happens here. Okay, so we have a bullish candle close. Now, what do we expect the price to do? So in this case, I would be looking for price to pull up higher because we do have a bullish candle close. So it looks like price wants to move up higher. So I'm looking for price to move up higher. So let's see if we get that move higher from here. Okay, so not so much. Sanjin saying looking bearish still. So overall, the bias is still bearish. So we are struggling with this previous support and resistance area here. Okay, so with this kind of close, what we have here is a price has come and tested this level here again, but it hasn't closed below. So overall bias is still bullish here. So looking for price to move up higher. Let's see if we get that, if we get a follow through in this. Here we go, price has moved up higher. And now what do we expect the price to do? Any guesses on where we can expect the price to go next? So my guess here will be the price would go higher into the next level of support and resistance. Sanjin says he's looking for it to go higher as well. So let's take a look if that happens. I'm looking for price to go back into this previous support and resistance area. So bias here is bullish. Okay, so it's just kind of gone sideways here, nothing much. So still looking for price to move higher here. There we go. We're back into the next support and resistance level. Sanjin, that's what he was saying here as well. Now, what do we expect the price to do next? Okay, I'm looking for price to move up higher still. Now we need to recognize that we are still in this into this resistance. That means price will have to clear the resistance here in order to move higher. But we have been going up here. So yes, so Sanjin says it's see if it breaks the levels. We do need to see if it will break the level. So let's take a look. There we go. We're all the way back into the resistance here. We've closed very strongly. Price tried to go higher and it gave us a bit of a pin. We are right back into this previous support and resistance level. So the candle here is looking quite bullish. One thing to remember here is though we could get a pullback here. So do keep that in mind because we are into the next level of support and resistance here. However, from a guessing point of view, what are we expecting the price to do next here? Okay, my guess will be that price, I would be looking for price to go higher, but now I would also be looking for price to react at this level because as we can see, price hasn't quite closed above this level here. So at this point, we could see a sideways move or a bit of a pullback as well. So we have to keep that in mind and let's see if we get that. Okay, so that's our pullback. So now our bias is still to the upside. Price is pulled back. So now let's see if it can continue higher. Okay, so we have a small bullish candle close. The bias is still bullish here. Okay, now what do we expect the price to do after this? Okay, my guess would be, or my bias would still be to the upside. We have a nice candle close. We have closed on other side of the support resistance. So I'm looking for a price to go higher into the next level of support and resistance. So my bias here is bullish and I'm looking for price to go into the next level of support and resistance, which is right here. And then above that, we can go all the way into 1.5880. 80 level. So there is room for price to go up higher. So bias still stays bullish. Okay, here we are. Candles are getting smaller now. What do we expect price to do here? Okay, my guess would be that price will continue higher. I'm looking for price to go into the next level of support and resistance. So let's see if that happens. Okay, we are still bullish. Again, the candle sizes are getting smaller. So now we have our next candle here has pins on both sides. That means we are coming into with the price does not have the same type of momentum. So here we could get a bearish candle close, or we could go higher here. So still there is bullishness in the price. So it could still continue higher, but we have to start looking for price to change directions or pull back here. So that's something we have to be careful about, because price can come into this previous support resistance area, hold above, and then continue higher. So let's take a look what we get here. Okay, as we can see, price pulled back, and now we have a doji close here. And now what do we expect price to do from this point on? Any guesses on where do we go next from here? Okay, my guess would be that price would go to test the next level here. And then once it clears this level, continue on to the next level. And let's see if that happens. There we go. It went into the next level. Now we have a small bearish candle close here. Not a very, very bearish close, just slight pullback. And the bias here is still to the upside, because we haven't really seen any solid candle close here, a bearish candle close. So we're looking for price to move higher. Let's see if that happens. Now we are into a resistance area. Price has been getting, or the candles have been getting smaller and smaller, and now we have a red candle close. So price could pull back here, and but the momentum overall is still to the upside, and price closes on the other side of this support resistance area, then we'd be looking for price to move up higher. So here I'm looking for, so this is one of those days when I may not trade this chart. I will wait to see what price does next. So let's take a look. Okay, so here we are. We're back into this previous support and resistance area. Price has pulled back, hasn't really managed to close below this level. So again, we need to see what happens here. What is the price willing to do? As long as price stays above this previous support resistance area, we're likely to see price go higher. So let's take a look. Okay, so now we have a big bearish candle close. So the momentum has now shifted to the downside. So bias has shifted to bearish. What do we expect the price to do from here? Okay, so I would be looking for price to go lower still. Now we could see price pull back into that level and then drop further from there. So always look for a pullback in this kind of a scenario. Overall bias is to the downside. I'm looking for price to move down further. Okay, so Sanjin says bearish to the next level. So here we have price has pulled back. So we could go higher in terms of our pullback before price drops further. So let's take a look if it will pull back into this area and then drop from there, kind of similar to what price did here, pushed up, pulled back, and then moved higher, pulled back, moved higher. So here I'm looking for price to go into the next level here and then drop from there if it holds below that level. So let's take a look. Here we are. It went slightly higher, but didn't quite get to the exact support and resistance level. So now we do have a bearish candle close here. So price is looking bearish. And what do we expect here? Where do we expect the price to go? So we are into support right there. So what is take a guess. What are we looking for next? So my guess would be for price to drop further. So I'm looking for price to come in back into this next level of support and resistance. So my bias is to the downside. Let's take a look. Possible bounce, yes, very much. We could have a buy, or we could see price go higher from here. If it holds from this level, it could go higher. But right now, my bias is bearish. So let's see if it drops further. So it did drop a little bit. So this area that we were looking for hasn't, so now we have bounced back up from that level. So the question now is where to next? So it looks like we are going sideways now. Price hasn't really dropped sharply. It's just gone up and down. So our in current market conditions here, we're looking at a consolidation here. Now, since we do have a bullish candle close, my bias would be for price to go and test this level once again. So looking for price to move up higher. So let's take a look. Okay, it didn't really do much. It has held below that support and resistance level here. Now, what do we expect the price to do? Okay, any guesses on where the price may go? Okay, so my bias here would be to the downside. So I'm looking for price to come lower here back into our next level of support. Excuse me. So bias overall is bearish, looking for price to go to the bottom here. Bottom of this little consolidation that it's in. So bias is to the bottom, looking for price to go into support. So let's take a look. Here we are. So it actually breaks the support and closes on the other side. Now, what do we expect the price to do next? Okay, so from here on, I am looking for price to drop further down. Socrates is saying it is looking, he's looking for it to go down. Sanjan is saying it's looking bearish. Let's take a look. I agree. I am looking for a bearish move as well. Okay, here we go. So we get our a bearish move. Now, where are we expecting the price to go? What's the next guess here? My bias would be still to the downside. So I'm looking for price to essentially get into this level here. So looking for price to drop further here. So let's see if we get that. Okay, still Socrates saying the bias is still to the downside. I am still looking for price to drop. Now, we do see that the candles are getting smaller here. This is big, and these ones are getting smaller. But overall, the bias still is to the downside. I'm looking for this level of support and resistance. So looking for price to drop further into this 51.50 level. So let's take a look if that happens. So we are very much sideways. And now because we are getting into the next level here, price could start going sideways. So my bias still into the support. So I'm looking for price to drop a bit. Here we are. Now we close right into that support resistance level here. This is where price had struggled before it did a W here. It went up higher. So what is our bias here? What are you looking for price to do next? Okay, my bias on this one would be for price to drop further. Now I would be looking for price to come into this level of support and resistance. We haven't quite cleared this level yet because we have support resistance level here. So now we need to see a break. Sanjan says break to the downside here. So I am looking for break to the downside, but if price starts to consolidate here, that could be a problem here as well. So we would have to be cautious. And this is where we go into our smaller time frame. And this is where I would be looking for price to show a reaction on a smaller time frame. So maybe an hourly candle or a 15-minute candle, and see how price reacts at this support and resistance level. So right now I'm looking for price to drop. Bias is still bearish. Let's see if it gives us that. Okay, so now we have a big bullish engulfing candle close. So this is why support and resistance levels are very important. See how we never really closed below that level. So this is why we go to a smaller time frame, especially when we are at a support and resistance level that where price has reacted before. We go to the previous, we go to our so we basically go to a lower time frame, sorry, and then we look for what to do next and see what price does based on the level it's at. Okay, so now price has not broken down. Instead, we have a big bullish candle close. Sanjan says we're seeing a reversal. Yeah, so we could get a reversal here. Now, when we do see these big candle closes here like this, we usually get a pullback. So I would look for a pullback, and then I'm looking for price to continue further. So my bias here is to the upside. So let's take a look if we get that. We do not, and it continues on. So this was a complete fake out. It went into the next support and resistance level here, and now we have a big drop. So didn't quite get that continuation to the upside. It was just a pullback. And now we have a big bearish engulfing candle close. So now, where to next? We are into support here. And what can we expect next? What's our market direction? So the way I would take a look at this one is that my bias is to the downside because overall we're still bearish. But because it's such a big candle close here, I'm looking for price to pull back, potentially back into this previous support and resistance area at 51.50, and then see a drop. But overall bias is bearish, but I'm looking for a bit of a pullback here before we see where the price goes. So my bias is bearish, but I'm looking for price to pull back here. Okay, so didn't really get the pullback. We got a very big candle close, and now we have gone past this. This was a nice candle here, and now we have a nice bearish candle. Now we are into the next level, support and resistance. So what do we expect here? What happens after this candle? Put in your comments and let's see. So for me, this is a bearish. I'm looking for price to drop further. It is a nice bearish candle close, but again, like I said, we are coming close to our support level. So I'm looking for price to pull back a little bit and then drop again. The target is 48.20 level. So let's see if we get that. Okay, Socrates says we're going down. Let's take a look. Okay, so we get a bit of a pullback. Let's see if we get a continuation. Here we go. Price is solidly into our support level. Now we haven't quite cleared the support at this level. So which means this price could still go up. So it could still close up higher here and go right up. So this is, again, we have to go to a smaller time frame. And this is when this is how I like to trade at major support and resistance level. I would look for either a break to the downside on a higher time frame or look for price to go up from here because we are at an important support and resistance level. So let's take a look. And this is why going to a smaller time frame is very, very important because now we have a big bullish candle close. So we can't just, especially when we are into these support and resistance levels, we can't just trade them blindly, even though we may have a good candle close here. We can't just trade them blindly. So in this case, what are we looking for? What's your guess? Where do you think the price will go next? So personally for me, when we have a big candle close like this, I will look for a pullback and my bias would be for price to go up higher. So what I'm looking for here is price to pull back into potentially into this support and resistance area and then try for the higher once again. So let's take a look. Sanjin says it's going to go up. Let's take a look. Okay, so we are up still. And so we did have a pullback into this previous support and resistance area there. Now we have a bullish candle close. We are kind of into this back into sideways move here. Price is getting smaller. So I'm looking for price to go and test the high here. Let's take a look. Okay, it didn't quite go higher. So price has, this candle close is actually a nice candle close, which means price could go down lower here. So we have to be careful because in one way, price is still facing downwards. So the bias is still downwards. But now because we've had this big bullish candle close, it could go higher as well. So this is, again, one of those things where I would be careful when trading this one. So let's take a look. So price has gone into the next level of support and resistance level, right into here, these previous areas where price had trouble. So where do we expect the price to go to next? Okay, so for me, I would be looking for price to, so it looks like price is consolidating sideways here. So before price continues, we're just going sideways. So what do we see here? So I'm looking for price to potentially push up higher into this level, 151.50, or even higher all the way into the high. So I am looking for price to go up higher. Let's take a look. Okay, so here we are. So we are consolidating sideways. And what do we expect now? Where are we expecting the price to go to? Okay, so here I'm looking for price to go higher, looking for it to go into this previous support and resistance area. So looking for price to move up. Socrates says he's looking for price to move up higher as well. So let's take a look. Will it go into our next level here? Okay, so here we are. This is kind of, it has crossed this previous level. Our close is higher. So we are still bullish here. So with this one, where are we looking for price to go to? Okay, so my bias is still to the upside. So I'm looking for price to go and test this level, 1.5290 level once again. So let's see if we can get a test of that. Okay, so price pulled back, still closed bullish. And can we expect the price to go higher? Do you think it will go higher, or do you think it will drop from here? What is your guess? Personally, I'm looking for price to move higher into the next support and resistance area. So let's take a look if we get that. Okay, so here we are. Price is moving higher. Okay, perfect. So it looks like everybody's agreeing with this bullish bias here. Now we are into resistance, and this is where price has struggled before. So we could get either a red candle close, or we could get a sideways move, but overall bias still stays to the upside here. So let's see what price does here. Okay, so we have a big bullish candle close here. So we are still looking bullish, and now we could see price pull back a bit before it continues further, but the bias is to this bias is bullish for this. So here we are. We have a very neutral candle close. We have pins on both sides on the candle, small candle body. So this is looking quite neutral. So the next candle, what can we expect from the next candle? Where's our bias, and where are we expecting the price to go to? Any comments on that? Any guesses as to where can we expect the price to go to? So my bias would still be to the upside. So I'm looking for price to move higher back into this previous support and resistance area. but we are into resistance. So this is where price had struggled before. So we could see a bearish candle close, and if we see a bearish candle close, then we could move lower. But right now it is sideways. The overall bias still remains bullish, and I'm looking for price to move higher. So let's take a look. Okay, so we are getting stuck here. So it looks like price just got stuck at this level. So what is next? What do we expect price to do next? So for me, this is a bearish candle close, but we are still holding above this previous support and resistance area. So as long as price is holding above the support and resistance level, we are still bullish, but now I would be careful with this one. So this is another one of those charts where I would go look at a lower time frame and then take trades based on where price closes in regards to the lower time frame. So here right now we are in consolidation, and for price to continue lower, we need to see a bearish candle close. So right now, let's take a look. Okay, so we are holding above this level that we just talked about. Price is bullish. It hasn't quite closed to the other side yet. It has gone from the bottom to the top. So what are we looking for next? Where do we expect the price to go? So my bias here would be to the upside. I would be looking for price to go into the next support and resistance area there. And I'm looking for, again, like I said, looking for price to move higher. So bias is bullish. Let's take a look. Okay, so it goes kind of sideways. So it's not completely bullish yet. Let's see. Here we go. Price is pulled back. And now this is, it's in that sideways consolidation area where price hasn't really done much. So I will take a look at the next one. Let's see. Okay, so now we have a bearish candle close. And as a result of this bearish candle close, what are we expecting the price to do? So what's the guess? Okay, so for me personally, because it's a big bearish engulfing candle close here, I'm looking for price to pull back potentially and then drop further. So let's see if we get that. Socrates is saying this is down, and Malik is saying down as well. Let's take a look. There we go. We're all correct. And now we are back into the next level of support and resistance area. So we had a bearish candle close. Now what do we expect price to do? So my guess will be, or put your guesses in the comment section there so I can take a look. My bias is that price is going to the downside further. Okay, Sanjin saying we may see a pullback. Socrates is saying we have a bearish. We may go down. Let's take a look. Yeah, we pull back a bit and then we drop. The overall bias is still to the downside. That's a nice candle close here. Now we are into the weekend, as can be seen by this this marking line here, but overall bias is to the downside. And where do we expect the price to go next after that? So for me here, the bias is still to the downside. So I would be looking for price to go down further into the next level of support and resistance here. So my bias here is bearish. So let's take a look. Okay, so not quite. We got stuck here. Price has not been able to break below this level. So as we can see, there's support and resistance in that level. So we have prices gone up now. What do we do next? Where are we expecting the price to go? So with this one, since we do have a big candle close and now the direction is looking bullish, so price has turned. Now I'm looking for price to go higher. But before it does that, it could pull back into this previous support and resistance level. So let's take a look if it does that. There we go. It pulled back a tiny bit, didn't quite make it to the our line here pulled back a tiny bit right into that previous level here, and from there price has closed higher. So now what are we expecting the price to do? So Sanjin says we're looking for price to go higher, and my bias would also be to the upside, and I'm looking for price to go into that type of a level there. So let's see. Okay, it kind of goes sideways here. We are running into resistance, previous support and resistance. So that's a bearish pin bar. Now, what do we expect the price to do? Any guesses on that? So for me personally, after seeing this candle close, since we are into resistance and we have a bearish pin bar here, I would be looking for price to go down. So let's see if it does that. Socrates says down as well. Let's take a look. Well, it came down and then it pushed up really hard. So this was definitely a trading opportunity as well. And the thing with these type of changes will be that it was likely a news report that came out, some sort of news report that came out, and it pushed the price higher. So that is very, very bullish. But if you said that it's going to go down, you're still correct, because price did drop right into the next support and resistance level, and then it moved up higher. So now we have a big bullish engulfing candle close. Where are we expecting the price to go next? What is your guess on this one? For me personally, I would be looking for price to drop potentially into this support and resistance area and then go higher. But overall bias is bullish. So let's take a look. Okay, so we didn't quite drop from there. Now we are into the next level of support and resistance, right into this previous level here. So we could go sideways from here. Let's take a look. Okay, so here we are. Price is holding that level. We have previous support and resistance level. We have price closing with a red candlestick here. So what are we expecting next? What is our guess in terms of where the price will go? Okay, so for me, I would be looking for price to drop, see if it can drop into this support and resistance level. So my bias would be to the downside here, but overall the momentum is up, and we could see the price go up higher. So if the price closes strongly on the other side here, then we're looking for price to move higher. But for now, I'm looking for price to pull back a bit here. Okay, so here we are, price drops, and that's a nice bearish candle close. So where do we expect the price to go after this? So my bias here will be to the downside. I'm still looking for price to come back into this next support and resistance area. So let's take a look. Okay, so it's given us a bit of a pin bar, still looking for it to drop. So it didn't quite make it into this support or resistance, stayed a little higher right into that, into the pin here. And now we have a bullish candle close. What are we expecting the price to do now? Where do we expect it to go? So my guess would be, because price is holding above this previous strong support resistance level, I'm looking for price to go and test the high once again. So my bias is bullish, and then Sanjin says he's looking for is bullish to neutral, if I'm reading it right. So this is sideways. So yeah, I will be looking for price to go to the top of this range, because it is moving sideways in the top of in the range here. So I'm looking for price to move up higher to the top. Here we go. It actually doesn't quite react, just cuts through straight, so goes higher. So bias is very bullish here. So price has moved up higher. Now, what do we expect the price to do? So for me here, I would be looking for a pullback, potentially into this area here, and looking for price to continue higher. So my bias for this is bullish. Okay, so we kind of pull back a little bit, and let's see. So now we are starting to consolidate in that region. So the bias is still to the upside, but we could see pullback. So price is still continuing higher, but the candles are getting smaller. So we could get a bearish candle here. But right now, I'm looking for price to go up into the high here and then give us a reversal. Okay, so price goes up higher, doesn't quite make it to the high, to the very tippy top, goes into the high of this candle, and then closes like that. So where do we expect the price to go from here? Okay, so for me personally, I would be looking for price to drop from here. We have a price has gone up, and now we have a nice bearish, almost a pin bar here, bearish reversal candle. So I would be looking for price to drop. First target is into the top of this candle here, and then further down to test the bottom. So bias is bearish. Let's take a look. Here we are, goes into the next level of support and resistance. So hasn't quite closed before this or below the support and resistance. So what do we do here? So it's again one of those areas where we have to see what the next candle closes like. So what we could do is go to a smaller time frame, and if price holds above this level, then it could move higher. But if it holds below this level, then it could move lower. So in this case, I'm looking for price to see if the price will continue further up. Okay, so it kind of gives us pins on both sides. So we are neutral here, neutral close for the day. Price does drop, but closes neutral for the day. So what are we expecting here? So here, as long as price stays above this previous support resistance level, price is likely to move higher, but these are not very good solid candle close. So we have to see better candle closes. So let's take a look. Okay, so this is even smaller sideways move. So it hasn't closed below yet. So let's take a look. Here we go. Price has broken through, closed below the previous support resistance level there. Now, what are we guessing? For me, I would look for price to drop further. So let's take a look. Okay, so price drops all the way down, almost into the next support resistance area. And then we have price has pulled back from there. So we have this type of a formation. So now what do we expect price to do? So in this scenario, I'd be looking for price to go and test this level perhaps. Let's see. Okay, it doesn't quite do that. The bias is still to the downside, looking for price to drop into the pin again. Let's take a look. Okay, so the price is getting quite small. The candlesticks are getting smaller. So it's not a very strong market here. So price is going sideways. So now we are consolidating sideways, yeah. And I'm still looking for price to come and test the bottom of this. It doesn't quite do that, pushes up higher. Now, what do we expect the price to do? Okay, so my guess will be to perhaps see price do a double top here and then drop. So overall, I think as long as price stays below this level, it could drop further. So let's take a look. And Socrates says down, so let's see. Okay, so we did pull back up, but we are sideways still. We have pins on both sides, so price is neutral, and it is going sideways. What do we expect price to do next? So my guess will be that price goes a little bit higher, retest this support resistance level, and then if it closes below, looking for price to drop. So this is where again we go into a smaller time frame and see how the price reacts at this level, or we can just go find a different pair that would give us a better opportunity or a higher probability trade setup. Okay, so let's take a look what happens here. Okay, price has closed bullish. All right, so I think we will wrap it up here. So I hope this was an interesting exercise. It's very, very important for us as traders to get some practice in. So if you take a look at any other profession, for example, athletes and everybody else, anybody who has to put on a performance, even if you look at actors, right? They practice their lines, they go through all this stuff. Athletes always practice. Even the best NBA player will go and shoot some hoops. So they're not just going to go into a tournament without any kind of practice. So for us traders, this is the practice that's outside of the live market conditions. Even when we are demo trading in the live market conditions, with demo trade, we may not connect with it because we just kind of do things that we may not do in the live trading environment. But when we go do this type of practice, we really get the advantage of getting some repetition in, some practice in, without having to wait for the market to move. So we can move through many, many different days here without waiting a whole week for price to show us something. So that's the benefit of practicing. Highly encourage you to do some sort of back testing, whether it's through Forex Tester or some other software or other means of doing back testing. But back testing is very, very important. So as usual, we'll continue on with our back testing sessions. And there was another announcement actually that I wanted to make. If you're interested in joining the trade room, today's the last day to sign up for it. And I will post a link in the Facebook group. And if you are interested in joining the trade room, so this is the last opportunity to sign up. And the cost is $97 a month. It's going to go up after this. I'm changing the direction, or I'm changing the way I do things a bit, just kind of changing the vision a little bit for the business. So if you're interested in joining now, you will get grandfathered into with the current prices, and the prices won't go up for as long as you stay with me. But going forward, the prices will be higher because I'm changing things up a little bit. But if you sign up now, then everything you'll get, whatever changes I'm making, you will get those as well. All right, so we'll wrap it up here. I'll be back tomorrow at the same time with our backtesting jam session. So hope you enjoyed this one and you're improving your skill set. So I will see you again tomorrow. Bye for now.